Okay, thank you. I would like to begin by giving a huge thanks to the people at ROCTalk who have put on this fantastic event. I would like to thank the people who are here today, and I would like to thank my fellow speakers who have put in so much work to be here. I'm going to begin my talk today with a question. It's not a trick question. I genuinely want to know who in this room believes that they have the power to change the world? Yeah. One person. Okay, a couple of people. You guys don't count. You got on the stage. It's fine. Okay. To everyone else in this room who did not raise your hand, this talk is for you. And I'm glad to tell you that you are wrong, that you should be raising your hand. You should believe that you have the power to change the world, because you have the power to change the world in 3 ways. You have the power to change yourself, you have the power to change the people around you, and you have the power to change institutions. And I was thinking about the kind of power that I have as an individual. And I think I feel powerless because I imagine myself in this huge, big world with thousands of square miles and cities that I will never visit and 8 billion people that I will never meet. And in the middle of that big world, I'm just a small person. And then if I begin to think of myself as not being one in a billion, 1 in 8 billion, but as one in my own world, the ability that I have to change that world is so much greater. Not only am I not challenging, I don't just have to fix climate change, I don't just have to end world hunger, I don't have to end war to make a difference in the world, because I can make the difference to the people around me. I can make a difference here on this very campus, if only the first step that I have to take is to believe that what I do matters. And it does. It matters to the people around us. I recently met Nick. And Nick and I met because I was selling a little gay pride pin on Facebook Marketplace, and he responded. I go to open up his message, and it reads, "Faggot. And if you don't think you have the power to change the world, you can always make it worse." But Nick was one of a dozen people who sent me similar messages. And I go through the laborious process of opening them, reporting them, blocking them, deleting them, open, report, block, delete, and I get to Nick, and I'm so tired. And I tell him, Nick, the great irony of it is that I'm selling my things online to raise money for my church's food distribution program. And he responds, "But you can't be a Jesus follower and a homosexual." And I say, "Yet I'm raising alms. What are you doing, Nick?" And he goes, "Well, I'm fixing my 30-year-old truck instead of sending it to the dump." And I was like, okay, so he's trying to solve climate change. Sure, we can talk about that. I said, "Are you making it more fuel efficient?" And he goes, "Yeah." And I said, "Slay." And he goes, "Fag." And I go, "Nicholas, get a grip." And he goes, "Go read your Bible." And I say, "Which part?" And so he sends me a screenshot of a Google search that says, "What does the Bible say about homosexuals?" And it populates Leviticus 18, which reads, "Man shall not lie with man as he lies with woman, for it is an abomination." And I send Nicholas back an article, and at the top of it just so happened to be a picture of a gun, and inscribed on the gun was the Holy Bible. And he says, "Is that a gun threat?" I said, "No." And he goes, "Okay." I said, "Go read the article." He goes, "No." And I said, "Fine." I said, "The gun is an allusion to the way that the Bible has been mistranslated for political agenda. And in this case, that political agenda is homophobia." And he goes, "I see." And I said, "He sees." And so I carry on. I said, what that article is talking about is the fact that that particular verse in original Hebrew was a condemnation of the ancient Roman practice where an older man would take a younger boy to be a sexual mentor. It was a condemnation of pedophilia, not homosexuality. And he goes, "I see." He sees by believing that I have the power to engage with him, by believing that I know to be true, that I have the power to make him see. And I have the power to change his mind. And it's not only Nicholas. It's not only just some stranger on the internet who I have the power to change. I was recently in line at Douglas getting breakfast, and the guy in front of me was making small talk with a lady who was serving us eggs. And he goes, "How's your day?" And she said, "It's so much better now that you've asked me that." And he kind of looks at her, and she said, "You were the first student all day to talk to me." And I looked down at my watch. It was 10:30 in the morning, and the dining hall had been open for hours at that point. And I thought to myself, we all have power. We have the power to not only change minds, but to engage with people, to not only change their minds, but change their days. And I vowed to myself, I vowed to be purposeful in the way that I speak to people, not only to change their minds, but to engage with them as people. Hi, how are you? Thank you. Yes, no. And so I've changed the way that I go about engaging with the dining hall workers, and I've become really good friends with one of them, actually. And one day, I was sitting with my friend for lunch, and I see one of my friends who works at the dining hall walk past. And I wave to her, and she comes over, and she speaks with us for a little bit, and my friend offers her a seat. She says, "Sit with us." And I was taken aback. That was so human. It was so kind of my friend, and I thought, why didn't I think to do that? And if I'm being honest, shamefully honest, I think the reason was because that was just outside of the realm of my imagination, that was not the roles that we had, that she worked there and I ate there, and it just never occurred to me that we could sit together. And so, the same way that I make sure to ask how their day is going, I make sure to ask her to sit with me every time I see her. And so one day we're sitting together, and she's looking around, and she looks scared. And I go, "What are you looking for?" She goes, "I'm looking for my lady." I said, "Your lady?" She goes, "Yeah, my boss. I'm worried she's going to come over and tell me to get back to work." And I said, "Okay." And she goes, "But you know what?" And I said, "What?" She said, "She'd have to ask for your permission." I'm looking at her. And she goes, "Yeah, the hierarchy in the dining hall goes gray shirts, black shirts, white coats, students." She said that our $89,000 years in tuition, or through your scholarship, the way that the university is getting $89,000 from you, they're telling the people at the dining hall that they are there to serve us. And so if her boss wants to send her back to work, they have to ask for my permission because I had asked for her to sit with me. And I'm thinking about, how is power so invisible? And just because it's invisible does not mean that we don't have it. We have the power to change minds, we have the power to change days, we have the power to challenge institutions, to challenge institutional power as we know it. And I go back to how I felt before, thinking that I'm powerless, and it's not true. We see that it's not true. And I'm thinking about how students on this campus, all of us, are powerful. And I'm particularly thinking about the students who are protesting for justice in Palestine. And thinking that I'm powerless, I thought that they were powerless, that what they're doing didn't matter because this institution is not where decisions are made, that this institution is not where power is held. But I started talking to people. And one of my friends told me recently that the institution had issued him a letter, and I'm sure many other students and potentially faculty and staff, that he was supposed to divest from a weapons company. The institution that the students are protesting is actually making change. And they're only making that change because students are braving the cold, slushy snow because they're not allowed in buildings. Students are going out for fear of disciplinary action. Students are going out in fear of being assaulted by campus security. And what they're doing, it matters. They're making functional change. And it's not only change at this institution. The president of our university is being called in front of Congress to answer for what it is that the students on our very campus are protesting for. Our voices are being heard not only here because we're making them heard, they are one step away from being relayed to Congress, and it is important that we stand by our morals. It is important that we believe that what we have to say is powerful. And it is important that we relay our message. We relay our message that we will not stand for cruelty, we will not stand for the bill that is currently sitting in front of the Senate for $95 billion in American taxes that is going to go to a country that is going to turn around and use that financial aid to buy weapons from our government that we know are going to be turned around and used against the civilians in Palestine to kill more than 34,000 people. It is important that we believe in our own morals, and we believe that they are important, and that we believe that we have power. And we have power not only as individuals, but we have power when we come together. We have power when we come together to protest. We have power as a university. We have power as all of the citizens of the United States of America. And if you leave here with one lesson today, I hope it is that you believe that you have power. Thank you.